What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So hopefully you've watched yesterday's weekly review and outlook video where I was explaining everything that I'm expecting for the week. If you haven't watched that, go watch that now and then come back to this video, because I'm not going to be re-explaining everything. So here we have the daily fair value gap that I was anticipating us to get traded into, and you can see that that's exactly what price did today. We traded higher, dipping just above Friday's high into that daily fair value gap. And yeah, it's nice to see that we're going in the direction that we're anticipating. Now moving into the new day, as in Tuesday, where we have CPI, I do anticipate us to dig a little bit deeper into the daily fair value gap. I'd like to think that we can run out this hourly swing high right here. I'd like to think that we can get a nice reaction off of that. So moving into the new day, I'm looking at the New York session, so between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. New York time. I'm looking for price to trade above this buy side liquidity for us to start looking for shorts for the rest of the day. So I am going to be paying close attention to this buy side liquidity, and very specifically as well, I'm looking at this candle here. Now the reason I'm looking at this is because it acts as a breaker now. The reason it's going to act as a breaker is because we've had a shift in market, as in this level here has closed above this swing high. I'll just show you what I mean. So as you can see, we've traded higher, closed above this level, and you can see how we're consolidating now, meaning that the last up close candle before that down move is a breaker block. So if I just drag this out like so, I'm looking for price to find support on this level. Alexa, stop. Sorry guys. So yeah, I'm looking at this as a breaker block. I'd like to think that price can trade into this, find support, run higher into the buy side liquidity, and then start to distribute to the downside. So if you don't know what I mean, let's just use the path. So I'd expect price to come down into here, trade into that buy side liquidity, and then I'd start hunting for sell stops for the rest of the week, running into Friday's lows. So yeah, that's going to be everything on dollar. We can now move on to GBP USD, and I'll start on the daily here as well. So just as anticipated, again, we traded lower, nicely running in towards that daily fair value gap. I am going to bring our attention to the 50% level of that, because that very well may get traded to in the new day. What you'll find as well is that 50% level lines up with this swing high. Well, not exactly, but it's close enough, as in price may want to refer to that before we see higher prices on pound. Now what was interesting today was that pound did have a lot more weaker price action compared to euro, and you'll see that when we get onto euro. But let's go to the 4 hour, and you'll see how pretty much the entire day price just fell, ran out these stops, and now we've just found a little bit of support on top of that fair value gap. So again, just like dollar, moving into the new day, the fact that we took out this low, that's quite significant to me. This low right here. So moving into the new day, I'd like to think that we can create the low inside of that fair value gap, offering us setups for longs for the rest of the day, running up towards Friday's highs, and we can start working towards our target. So if we go to the 1 hour, we can see price even better. You'll see that I've divided it into the days. Now this does look very complicated. If you've watched my backtesting videos before, you'll know what I've got marked out here, but I'll just run it through for any new watchers. So we have the midnight candle delineated in black. We have the London session delineated in orange with the 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. marked out, and then we have the New York session between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. with the 8:30 and the 9:30 a.m. marked out, and then the London close here. So that's everything here. So we can actually look and see how price delivered. We traded lower during London, we traded back into the London range right for New York, and then we had expansion at 8:30 to the downside with a continuation right into the London close, where we took out these lows and then had a slight retracement off of that. So yeah, pretty nice delivery on the day in general. Moving into the new day, I'd like to think we can reach down into this fair value gap, so I'm going to just draw that out. And the reason I'm looking at this fair value gap specifically is because well, it's at the midpoint of that daily fair value gap. Remember, this line is the midpoint of the daily fair value gap, and yeah, I just think that price is going to want to draw to it. If we look at the total range from this low to this high, it's in a discounted area as well, so it'd be nice and interesting to see if price can reach down into that. In terms of swing projections, like where we may expect the swing to happen, this down close candle right here, I'm going to look at this level. So maybe New York might create a nice swing into this level before distributing down. And then as New York hits with CPI, I'd like to think that we can see some upwards price action running into relative equal highs and aiming for that Friday high that we have targeted. So again, let me use the pathway of what I'm expecting. So I'd expect us to hit this level here. Why? It's a breaker, trade lower, fill in that fair value gap, and then as CPI is hitting, we can start looking for high prices. Now, I in no way suggest you go and trade CPI, guys. So, you know, because we could have a complete opposite kind of price action and prices goes completely lower, which is completely fine. But preferably, I'd like to think we can find support in that daily fair value gap, which I was talking about. Find support in it for us to then trade higher. So yeah, I'm just going to be paying close attention to the midpoint of the daily fair value gap for us then to start hunting for higher prices for the rest of the week. So yeah, that's everything on GBP right now. We'll go to Euro, starting on the daily, sorry. Again, if you haven't watched yesterday's video, go and watch it because we've had some very nice delivery today. So we traded lower, just as anticipated. This is the weekly, cool. Trade lower into this fair value gap. I drew our attention to this in yesterday's video. Look how we closed that. Very beautiful price action right there. Moving into the new day. Again, I'd like to think we could see some higher euro. Looking at Friday's high as a target for buy side liquidity. Remember that weekly fair value gap up here is my longer term target. But I'd like to start working into this range tomorrow. But if we go down to the 4 hour, we can see our price delivered. So we came lower, ran out these stops. There is a breaker here. These are the last up close candles before the down move that caused this expansion. So we can look at this swing high as a potential draw on price. The same way I'm expecting GBP to trade down into this level before trading higher. We can look at Euro to trade down into this level before trading higher. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do that, and it doesn't have to do it. But I'd like to see it. If it does do it, as in if price does continue lower and starts to find support at this level where there is also a fair value gap, so it's very high probability, then I'd like to think that I can go long here. We've got some beautiful relative equal highs up here as a target, and then we can start running into that range. Now, we might not hit Friday's high tomorrow, that's fine, but Thursday and Friday we have PPI and some other high impact news on dollar, so it's looking like a very clean week, guys, to say the least. So in terms of Euro, moving into the new day, maybe trade a little bit higher, come lower during New York, create the low, and then with CPI I'd like to think that we can aim for these relative equal highs right here now. Again, I'm not saying pip for pip or anything like that, but this is just generally how I'm expecting and would like to see price deliver. Let's say price doesn't do that and we do have expansion to the downside. If price starts disrespecting, as soon as price leaves this grey range, and if you look on the weekly, I'll just show you. On the weekly, that's this wick, right? So if price trades lower than that range, as in we start to leave it and trade deep into this order block, I'd simply get out the charts and not bother trying to figure out and let it do its thing. But other than that, I'd like to think that we can find support and that CPI will drive price to the upside, but we shall see. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope this was insightful. One thing to take note of, although I do want to see price trade higher before trading lower like that, it doesn't have to do it. And the reason for that is because we have taken out buy stops above this swing high. So on dollar, you can see we have run out a level of stops and we've traded into a daily fair value gap. So price very may well just fall straight out of bed. And what I mean by that is we may just go straight, as in we might start delivering to the downside quite quickly, depending on how we want to deliver. So that's something to consider as well. But we can only wait and see. So hope that all makes sense, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.